going to do is enable the microphone, so everyone should be able to hear me now. We're going to go ahead and give Spotify a rest, and we are going to remove the cover. Hey, everyone. And actually, hold on. Before we break out this screen here, I think we're gonna start. Wow, I'm just going between seeds. There we go. Okay. So let's see. Hey everyone, and welcome. We are going to get started in a couple of minutes here. This is Spidey Librarian. This is my friend Steve Moore, who right now we can only see him on this camera. But in a couple minutes here, we're going to fix all that. We're going to get started with the podcast, and we're going to start talking about Spider-Man comic book covers from the 1960s. We got a tier list out. We're gonna start putting them on there, rating them. We're gonna talk a little bit about them. So I hope you guys are ready. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And this is one of those episodes that I really do enjoy doing. One of the earlier pieces of feedback that I got on the podcast was essentially that you guys liked it when I had someone with me to kind of bounce off of and have discussions with for just about any episode. So I made sure, because I used to do a lot of these tier lists by myself. There's like a villains tier list that I think is way too long and that I just sound boring on. So I've got my guest Steve here. Steve is actually a big he's an aficionado of the, what should we just say, the Bronze Age of comics.
Yeah, although I bought comics ever since then.
Yeah, so.
I've kind of stopped reading just in the past few years, but I have way too many of them.
Okay. I want to take a minute to say hello to Leia Rose and to Latoya Williams, and they are here with us in the chat today. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys enjoy this. We're going to get started in just a second. And let me see. Let me see. Is there anything that we want to do before we get going? I think we've got everything we need. Just so everybody knows, this episode, which I do push these episodes out to audio services like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff like that. I know that podcasts are an inherently audio medium, but this episode in particular, since we are dealing with comic book covers, that's a very visual medium. And so this is one of those times that I really do suggest that people who, and I'll say this once the podcast gets started, I really do suggest people who are considering listening to this episode, one, please listen to it. That's always helpful. But two, it might be best to view this episode on my playlist for the podcast. So, because we're going to do our best to describe these covers, but something else, I don't, is it okay if I tell them about? Okay.
Sure.
Is that Steve has recently had, what was it, eye surgery?
Yeah.
He recently had eye surgery, and so his vision is probably not the best. So we may be kind of like switching tabs a couple of times. Hopefully it won't disturb the flow of the podcast. But Steve is very interested in these kinds of topics, and so I definitely wanted to have him along for both for his knowledge and his enthusiasm. And also, I just I'm not as well read in this era of Spider-Man, and so I definitely like hearing Steve's kind of expertise on this issue. So I'm going to give us just a second and we will get going. But in the meantime, I see that Sith Apple is here too. How are you doing, Sith Apple? Thank you for being here. Much appreciated. Sith Apple is one of my mods extraordinaire and has actually done quite a bit to promote the YouTube channel, which I really do appreciate. Thank you for that, Sith Apple. And let me see. I'm gonna go ahead and get the script up. I'm gonna put it right here, and that way I can say all the things that are consistently said in the podcast. All right, guys, are we ready? Okay, here we go. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Webline, a podcast about Spider-Man and his amazing world. Here, we discuss all aspects of our favorite web-slinger in a fun, informal, but informative forum. I am your humble host, the Spidey Librarian, and this week I've got another tier list episode on deck for you. I'm rejoined this week by my friend Steve Moore, who's also a comic book reader and enthusiast, and we're going to continue our rating of Spider-Man comic book covers from the 1960s. Steve, how are things in your world?
Uh, Pretty good,
Anything new and exciting going on?
Not really, just the having a couple of surgeries, always fun.
And this is why you've got the glasses, which by the way, um, if you're on the live stream right now, excellent. If you are listening to this episode, I highly recommend you watch the live stream because we're going to be reviewing an inherently visual medium. But Steve here is wearing sunglasses, and he looks a bit like the Terminator. And
I wish.
and it's because he has recently had eye surgery, so we might be making some accommodations for Steve for that reason. So, but anyways, I'm glad to have you here, and I'm looking forward to continuing this kind of sub-series of the podcast with you.
Thanks for the invite.
Today's tier list covers issues number 21 through 42 of Amazing Spider-Man and also issues 2 and 3 of Amazing Spider-Man Annual. Be sure to follow along using the tier maker link featured in the live stream description or in the show notes. As today's episode will involve the rating of an inherently visual medium of comic book covers, we'll do our best to describe them, but we'll also have visual aids on the live stream. So for an ideal experience, I would recommend viewing this episode on YouTube. I'll be sure to put the episode link in the show notes when it goes out to audio services. The Spidey Librarian Patreon gives... I'm going to say that again. The Spidey Librarian Patreon gives listeners and viewers of the podcast access to my small but growing community as I keep creating content about our favorite wall crawler. There's currently just one tier, the $5 Spider Society Citizen tier, which affords members shoutouts on the Webline podcast and on my uploaded YouTube videos, access to the private patron feed featuring extra polls, behind-the-scenes posts, and media of me and my cat Trouble, and a special role on the Spidey Librarian Discord server, Spider Society Citizen. More roles, perks, and possibilities will arise as we grow and diversify the existing tier, including the prospect of early access to videos, patron-only videos, patron-only videos and streams, and appearances on live streams and the podcast. So join the Spidey Librarian Patreon today and help grow our Spider Society Citizen tier into a full-blown Spider-Man community. The webline streams on Sundays at 2 p.m. Central Time on my YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there, as well as on your favorite podcast service, and leave us a like, review, and follow where appropriate. If you're on a service that doesn't carry the webline, let me know by shooting me an email at spideylibrarian@gmail.com, and I'll do what I can to get it pushed out to you. Finally, for those of you here on the live stream with us today, please be sure to thwip the like button and chime in with your perspectives in chat. But before we do a daring dive into our timely topic, it's time to dish on the latest Spiderific developments with our knockout news segment, The Bugle News Flash. Right. So for our first for our first news item, uh, this was an interesting one, but it involves a fan film, I'm guessing, or an independent film. It involves The Walking Dead of all things, but there's a star on The Walking Dead, or at least he was on there for 8 seasons until they killed off his character. That would be Chandler Riggs, who played Rick Grimes' son Carl in the show. He's apparently going to be starring in a Spider-Man horror fan film that is directed by someone by the name of Andy Chen. I'm not really familiar with this director, but my understanding is that this guy likes gore, and he apparently on his YouTube channel there are plenty of examples of his work, and at least according to what I read, the upload that he did says that this particular version of Spider-Man is going to be on the gory side. So I'm really interested to see what that's going to be. I usually don't go in for fan films, but I don't know. I kind of like the I kind of like the cut of this one's jib. I don't know. Is Steve? Do you have any thoughts on this? Like, I don't know. Do you like scary movies in the first place? I don't know.
Yeah, I do. It's funny. I was the biggest horror movie wimp for like ever. And then, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, my brain rewired itself and they don't bother me anymore.
That's fair. That's fair. And I mean, I like my horror films. I pretty much have always liked them. And there are certain scary movies that I will not watch, and then there are others that I'm like, oh, this is disturbing and creepy. Please give me more of it. So, again, I'm usually not big on Spider-Man fan films. I certainly haven't seen what was it called, Spider-Man Lotus. That's one of the newer fan films that came out, but this one might make an exception. This looks like it could be fun. So. There is going to be we it seems that Marvel is actually listening to the readers now. I know that a lot of people keep complaining about how bad things are on Amazing Spider-Man right now, and rightfully so from everything I've heard. But it looks like in 2024 they're going to start giving us things that we actually want. We've mentioned Ultimate Spider-Man before and how that's going to be a really cool premise. It's going to actually feature a Peter who doesn't get bitten by the spider until he's in his 30s and married and has kids already. So that sounds cool. But they're doing it again. They've got something else cool that I'm pretty sure people have been asking for months, years. And that's going to be another ongoing comic called The Spectacular Spider-Men, and it's going to feature Miles and Peter kind of working together, a lot like you see in the Marvel Spider-Man 2 video game, it looks like. And I'm really excited about that. They've kind of like, they've existed and they've known of each other and they've met and maybe done like, where they've worked together on certain limited series, but it looks like this comic is going to do it on an ongoing basis, and that's really exciting. Even more exciting is that the showrunner of the animated Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, Greg Weisman, is the one writing the comic, which is just brilliant, and I'm really, really excited for that. It is scheduled to have a March 26th, 2024 release date, and yeah, I don't know. Again, like, I I do not begrudge people being upset about the current state of the Amazing Spider-Man comic. What little I've read, I get why they're making those complaints heard. But it looks like, at least in the alternate universe sense, or in an ancillary capacity to like the main titles, Marvel is actually starting to listen and give fans what they want, and I really kind of appreciate that. And I don't know, you now, Steve, you said you're not reading the comics anymore. I mean, like, is there any kind of like development or event that would like get you to read them again? Like this to me is kind of one of those things. Like, I want to read this comic.
Uh, well, I mean, I'll pick something up occasionally. I read Jim Starlin's new Dread Star graphic novel just because I'm a huge Starlin fan. But
Hmm.
uh, Marvel Unlimited and DC Infinite kind of ruined it for me. It's like there's so much material out there, and when it's readily available, it kind of defeats the whole "I've got to read this issue or I won't know what happened" kind of thing.
Right.
And also, there's such a glut of material that's not inspired.
That's fair. That's fair, and I can totally understand that. And I mean, comics cost money. You've only got so much of that to throw around these days. So, no, I get it. I get it, and I totally understand. The teaser trailer for Madam Web dropped earlier this week, and I'm still not sure what to think of it. I did a reaction to it. It was about 3 minutes long, which was actually surprisingly lengthy for a trailer. But it looks like it's essentially taking the concept of the Terminator and applying it well, to the Spider-Man universe, but it's using like four different Spider-Women. Which I'm cool with that. Like I like the concept in and of itself. It sounds interesting. But did have some issues with some of the specifics. I don't know. Have you seen this trailer yet, Steve?
I have not.
Okay.
I think I saw some pictures from it, but I didn't actually watch it.
Okay. So my big issue with that trailer was how they portrayed Ezekiel Sims. Like, first of all, they said that the guy trying to kill all of them was Ezekiel Sims, which I'm like, okay, whoa, hold on. Ezekiel is no angel, but he is not like a stone cold killer. So I'm hoping that's some kind of a fake out. But I mean, just based on everything I've seen, I'm like, because it looks like he's the one going around trying to kill these women. And I'm just like, that's not how that character works. And I don't know if they've kind of conflated him with Morlun. I have no idea. I really wish that, I there's a much better way to use Ezekiel, in my personal opinion, and I've actually made a YouTube short on it that I feel has a ridiculously low amount of views because I think that once people actually saw my proposal, it'd be like, yeah, no, that's really cool. But that's just me, kind of being, I don't know, tooting my own horn, I guess. So, um, yeah, it's slated for a February release. So, we're gonna be getting it, I think, around, I want to say it's like February 18th. So I'm not opposed to the movie like the way I kind of was with, say, Morbius when I saw it. It looked pretty, but it was also just ridiculous. And this one actually looks kind of compelling because you actually get to see you see flashes of the younger Spider Women as like they're in costumes almost. And what little I've seen, I'm like, I'm okay with this. Like this looks not bad. The Spider Women that you see are Maddie Franklin, so Spider Girl. Anya Corazon is in it, and who is the other one? Oh, Sydney Sweeney is Julia Carpenter. So so you get to see them kind of in quick flashes, like as Spider Women fighting, I think, against Ezekiel, and it's like this kind of looks cool actually. So there are parts of it that look good. There are parts of it where I'm like, don't know yet. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll get some more material because I do want to see where this goes. I don't know. Are you interested in this movie at all, Steve?
Uh, it sounds interesting. Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the Fox Marvel stuff, at least since the X-Men movies. But having a bunch of Spider Women running around sounds like fun.
It's interesting because like the premise seems to be that so Cassandra Webb is in it. She is much younger than she is depicted in the comics, but she is older than like the three younger women that she is rescuing. And Cassandra is she's like psychic and able to see certain events in the future. And so she's trying to protect them because apparently they're supposed to stop Ezekiel Sims from, I guess, killing someone important. It all sounds very Terminator to me, but like as I've kind of rolled that concept around in my head a little bit more because it's been a few days since the trailers dropped. I've come around a little bit more. I was originally like, I don't know, Terminator in the Spider-Man universe, but I mean, we've seen things get kind of dark in the Spider-Man universe before, so I'm willing to give this a try. So, all right, and then finally, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which again, I played it, I platinumed it, I love it, love the game so much. It has been nominated for 7 video game awards, including Game of the Year at the Video Game Awards show, which I think is going to be broadcast on Thursday, December 7th. So it's been nominated for Game of the Year, Best Action Adventure Game, Best Game Direction, Best Voice Acting, Best Narrative, Best Innovation in Accessibility, and Best Audio Design. And I mean, I'm really excited to hear that it's kind of getting all these accolades. Even the nominations themselves are big honors. So, but I think it's up against a raft of very big contenders this year, including The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, which from what I haven't played it, but from what I understand, it has just taken off like you would not believe. And quite a few others that I can't recall at the moment, but there's quite a few of them. So it may struggle against some of those. I thought the narrative in Spider-Man 2 was really good. I don't think it was flawless, but I do think it was really good. Um, but it may struggle in some of those other areas. I do think it has a good shot at best innovation in accessibility because they allowed you to like they came out with a range of features in game that allowed people with accessibility issues to have a better shot at playing, including like slowing down certain timing based things on a need to basis. Like it left the defaults in, but you could go in and change things as you needed. And I really, I mean, I appreciate that. I think that is a good thing. I want gamers of all walks of life to be able to enjoy this game, and I think that it did a really good job of making that possible. So all right. And I don't know. I'm guessing you haven't played Spider-Man 2, Steve.
I'm not. I'm not much of a gamer.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair
That's
enough.
the one nerd thing I don't do.
And I mean, not even board games?
Uh, Not in a while. Just
Okay.
really haven't had a lot of opportunity.
No, I get it. I get it. All right. Well, and that's all the Spidey news for this week. Now, let's get ready for our feature segment, the tier list rating the various Spider-Man comic book covers from the 1960s. Oh. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping notes. These tier lists are created by me using the TierMaker software at tiermaker.com. Please feel free to save your own ratings and send them to my Discord server using the channel named the Webline Tier List. And if you enjoy these tier lists, please also rate them on tiermaker.com. I will publish links to this segment's tier list in the show notes and the live stream description. To those of you present with me right now on the live stream, please feel free to give your opinions and assessments of this tier list, the items on it, and where you'd place them. And finally, my standard personal disclaimer. Tier lists are personal, and people will have differing opinions as to who or what may belong where on them. I offer up this list not as the authoritative end-all be-all of Spider-Man tier list, but as an expression of my own opinions as a comics reader, a Spider fan, and connoisseur of the wall crawler across many media. Please feel free to disagree with me, but please keep your disagreements civil and respectful. We're all fans of Spider-Man here, and we should keep that in mind whenever we are expressing our views on this subject. With all that said, let's get into it and figure out which of these awesome initial Spider-Man covers deserves which rating. I've assembled a listing of 24 covers, all from the early runs of the Amazing Spider-Man comic. We've got artwork here. Okay, can't talk sometimes. We've got art. Wow, I can't do it. We've got artwork here from Steve Ditko and John Romita Sr., so I wouldn't be surprised if we have some fairly consistent high ratings on this tier list. And as you guys can see, up on the screen, I have got the first cover already up for you to see. That is Amazing Spider-Man number 21. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up on a different screen for Steve and myself here to see. But this is number 21. We stopped at number 20, and so this cover has a mostly white background. You've got Spider-Man in the middle. Looks like he is dodging a fireball from the Human Torch, who is on Spider-Man's right, our left, the reader's left. And then we've got like some early weird-looking version of the Beetle, according to the blurb here, who looks like he's kind of skulking around behind a metal plate, and he's about to spring. So first of all, my first thoughts on this cover is, oh great, the Human Torch is back, and is he fighting Spidey, or is he firing at the Beetle and missing? So I don't know. Steve, What do you think of this cover?
I'm just blown away by all the Ditko energy there. It's so kinetic.
It really is. I mean, I don't exactly know what's going on, but you've got an idea. I mean, there's action happening here. The beetle just looks weird. I'm not used to that look. He's got these weird kind of suction cuppy three fingered big hands. They're really weird looking, and it's just kind of an evolution of the character design that he looks differently now. But that's an initial look for the beetle, really?
Yeah, that was the original. I was collecting when the revamped Beetle came out. I guess it was in the 70s.
Uh huh.
But yeah, it was this for a while, and I never could really figure out the suction cup hand thing. That didn't really seem particularly beetle-y, but it's cool Ditko design. It's kind of trippy.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. So let's see. We've got five categories here. We've got S for iconic, A for amazing, B for brilliant, C for memorable, and D for meh. So, what would you what's your initial thought on where this particular issue belongs? Just or well, this cover, I guess.
I'd give it an A for all the energy.
It's hard to disagree. I like the way Spider-Man looks. He looks acrobatic and, uh, dodgy as always. The Human Torch, you can kind of see his facial features underneath the flame aura there, so I like it, and I agree. I think an A rating is a good place to start with this tier list. And okay, we're gonna go ahead and move it along to number or issue number 22. Give me just a second. Sorry. There we go. And okay, what have we got going on here? A we have a cover with a kind of blue at the top background that fades into white at the bottom. We've got the red Spider-Man searchlight thing that he sometimes would use back then. There's a shadow, which is presumably Spider-Man. And then I've got what it looks like a bunch of colorful people in costume, presumably the villains of this issue. And it says, what is the Clown and the Masters of Menace? Is that
Yes, I think it's the Circus of Crime. They eventually ended up calling them.
the Circus of Crime? I don't know if I've heard of this. What is the Circus of Crime?
Well, it's circus performers that rob you, and the ringmaster has uh, a top hat with hypnotic abilities.
Oh, okay. All right. Um, was that was that who Spider-Man encountered in the issue where he met Daredevil for the first time?
I can't remember.
Okay. All right. What do you think of this one art-wise?
It's fun. It's different. Like I
I
said, you
mean,
don't really get a Spidey except in the corner box.
yeah, you get his light, so you get his facial features like, in that circle basically. But yeah, you mostly just get a shadow here. And I mean, to be fair, like that adds a note of menace to it. Like, oh God, he's coming. What's he gonna do to us? And they don't exactly look like they're ready for him, They kind of look like, what is this? So, all right. What would you say rating wise?
I think I'd give it a B.
Give it a B? Yeah, I like it. It's technically adept. It's doing something a little bit differently. It definitely doesn't possess the energy of the previous color though, or cover, sorry. All right, okay, and moving on, we're just zipping along right here. And we have got issue number 23. Just a moment. All right. And it looks like it is a Green Goblin cover. We've got a white background. The Amazing Spider-Man lettering is in red. And then we got Spidey, looks like he is dodging the Green Goblin's pumpkin bombs. It looks like the Green Goblin has got a hold of his web and is trying to tie him up in it or something. And I don't know. I mean, I like this one so far. It also looks pretty kinetic and energetic. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. And you gotta love the Goblin too. He's got he's upgraded to his Goblin glider that's more or less the design they've stuck with since then, upgraded from
Right.
his old
The
broomstick.
broomstick. No, this is a really nice cover, and you really get a good shot of both of these villains. And so, like, the blue and red really contrasts with the purple and green, especially, you can see a slight bit of crossover between the two. So they're like, they're not touching, but like, Spidey is his leg is in front of the goblin's leg. So you see that color contrast very kind of immediately. So I like it. I like it a lot. What would you say in terms of a rating for this one?
I think that's a strong A.
I agree. I agree. Definitely a strong A. And again, like you mentioned with number 21, the energy in that one is really high. So, all right, let's see our fourth one. And so far we are zipping along. I am really enjoying this. All right, we have got number 24. And what the heck have we got going on here? Okay, so we've got kind of a light blue background that may be upside down, and we've got, is that, I see the vulture, but is that really the vulture? The caption on the cover says Spider-Man goes mad. So it looks like we have the vulture and we have the Sandman, but it looks like they may be holograms or visions or something. And Spider-Man has just got his head in his hand, and it looks like he is trying to keep himself from crying or going mad or something. And what have we got here? I'm looking at the blurbs and I'm just, what is happening here, Steve, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, some really good acting there. One of the things about Spider-Man is he has to act with his body because you can't see his face. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
you
true.
but you really see the despair there.
Yeah, it's like, what am I going to do, kind of thing. And no, no, it doesn't give you a clue as to who the actual villain is. I mean, presumably Sandman and Vulture are not villains because they're just illusions or something like that have just been whipped up. There's someone in the background, and he's like upside down over a desk. So that leads me to think that Spider-Man is hanging on a wall or a ceiling or something. And so there's like this cover is just very visually confusing. Um and I but not necessarily in a bad way. Is something weird is going on with, is this a Mysterio issue maybe? I don't know. It's making me ask questions, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing here. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely intriguing, and of course, the job of the cover is to grab people's eyeballs and
Right.
get them to plunk down for the book.
I mean, based on this cover, I'm curious enough that I probably would have at that point in time. So, all right, what do we think in terms of a rating?
Uh, I'm thinking B. What do you?
You thinking B? I'd say it straddles the line between B and an A, so I'm okay with giving it a B. I'd say a strong B, so that works for me. Interesting cover. I would like to know more about it. Um, and I figure that's the intent. All right, number 25. This is an interesting one because we've got J. Jonah Jameson, and it looks like he's in like a spider slayer thing, or just some kind of robotic mechanical thing. He's got Spider-Man tangled up in these. I assume these are like mechanical tentacle kind of things, and it says captured by J. Jonah Jameson, and it's got a yellow background. Spider-Man is all just like he dominates the cover, but like he's also just covered in these. I'm assuming they're tentacles. And then J. Jonah Jameson is like his face is in the robot. And so I don't know if he's like actually wearing a suit or if that's just like a unit that's got his image projected on it. I don't know.
I think
I
that.
mean, very, very cool cover. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that is an early Spider Slayer iteration, and
Yeah,
of course, Jonah has comics' best flat top.
he does. He really does. All right. Well, what are we thinking about this one in terms of a rating? What would you say?
I'm thinking A. It's
I'm thinking this is a pretty strong A. I like Jonah just kind of like grinning at Spider-Man as he struggles to figure out what the heck is going on here. So yeah, no, I definitely think this one can go in the A tier. So we're gonna go ahead and slide it on over there. All right, next we have got issue number 26, and as far as I can tell, this looks like it's another Goblin cover. Interesting. Okay, so we've got three subjects on this one. The light blue skyline dominates the background, but then you also got the gray of some of the buildings and the blue of some of the oceans. It looks like the crime master, I guess, is the gentleman in the brown orange with the fedora, and he's like shot Spider-Man with some kind of green mist, presumably, and then the green goblin is hovering behind them, like, and he just looks like he's kind of taking it in and enjoying this. So, interesting take. What do you think here, Steve?
You gotta love Ditko Mist. That's just wild.
Ditko mist.
Yeah, I mean that's nobody else would draw mist like that or whatever that effect is. Some kind of magic. I don't know.
I could be. It could just. I mean, it looks very kind of tentacular, I guess, if you could call that a word. But yeah, I don't know if that's magic. I don't know if that's technology. It just looks like it's trying to like kind of octopus legs kind of, grab him. So
I think the crime master was just a guy in a mask with a gun. So
I mean,
maybe it's some kind of Green Goblin gimmick. I don't know.
okay, all right. What would you say in terms of giving this one a rating? What would your score be?
I think that's definitely an A.
Yeah? Let's see. Let's go ahead and I mean, I definitely like that we are getting not just Green Goblin and the Human Torch, frankly. But the background works out pretty well, and yeah, that mist is kind of like what is going on here? So all right, so for our seventh, we have got issue number 27, I believe. And that features, hey, it's another Goblin cover, but it is not just the Goblin. This is, okay, so I've heard the phrase, bring back my Goblin to me. I don't know if I've actually read this story, but it's like the Goblin is hovering over, looks like a group of criminals. I think I see Crime Master in there, and possibly J. Jonah Jameson. And it looks like these guys are all about to jump Spider-Man. Spider-Man is bound up in chains, and he looks like he is gonna be having an interesting day on this cover. I don't know. What do you think about it, Steve?
Uh, Great Goblin there. You gotta love the Goblin.
Yeah. And he's got like a fist up too, and so
Yeah.
it's like you kind of wondering, is he just waiting to give the signal for these
Yeah.
guys to jump him?
Yeah. Spidey's in danger. You don't not as energetic as some of the other ones.
No,
Uh,
but it definitely is good at building tension. This is a cover that makes me go, "Oh, I have to read this." So yeah. What are you thinking about in terms of a rating?
uh, I'm thinking B.
You thinking B?
Maybe you like it more than I do.
I mean I might. I think I again I like the tension here. So I think this one for me gets an A.
I could go A.
So I think it's a good cover. It's got a dark blue background, and then underneath it's just a bunch of guys waiting to
Yeah.
beat the tar out of Spidey. So let's go
I
ahead.
do like that Goblin.
Yeah, that is a very cool looking goblin. So all right. Issue number 28, and we have got, ooh, a Molten Man cover. Okay, all right. This I'm kind of digging this. This is unlike any cover that I've seen so far. This cover has got a black background, and it looks like everything seems to be done up in neon almost, like the green webs behind the Amazing Spider-Man titling. Spider-Man himself, like it's like you can't see him except for like the red kind of outlining on his costume. It's almost like it's been reversed, like the red is in webs instead of the black. and it's all for the purpose of just seeing, again, just seeing him in what is otherwise just a completely black background. And then Molten Man is all glowing and yellow in this one. I like this cover. This is a really cool cover. What do you think of it,
Yeah, I
Steve?
like it a lot. And cool design, cool things he did with the covers. I mean, with the
Yeah.
colors.
I mean, like I really feel this to me is innovation. A lot of the other stuff is good. It's dynamic. It has certain levels of energy. This is just like, whoa, this is new and exciting. So, I don't know. For me, this one, I think this is probably a pretty strong A, possibly a low S. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to go ahead and make this one our first S tier cover. Just because that visual is just so really very different and really cool. I think so. All right, number 9. Let's have a look. This is going to be issue number 29 of Amazing Spider-Man. And oh, it's a scorpion cover. Okay. So we've got a light blue background for the sky and then slightly darker blue for the ocean. And Spidey and Scorpion are both in the ocean and they're fighting. And it looks like the Scorpion may have a little bit of an advantage here. Uh, there's a caption in green lettering over it that says, "Whatever you do, wherever you go, never step on a scorpion." Steve, what do you think of this cover?
Pretty cool. It's interesting the waterline effect.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't really seem to change much. I mean, the coloring, I guess, a little bit. But I mean, like the scorpion, I'm having a hard time seeing a difference, really. So, at least in terms of color. I'm not aware of the scorpion really having any kind of like aquatic advantage over Spider-Man. Maybe he just planned really good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is he wearing like a mask or rebreather or
Oh, he
something?
has to be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to see
Yeah.
actually. I don't have a good answer for you there. Let's see if we can enlarge the image a little bit and maybe that'll help. He may or may not be wearing a
Hmm.
rebreather. Again, it's really difficult to tell. So, I don't know. What do we think in terms of a rating here?
I'm thinking B.
Thinking a B? Yeah, I like the composition. I think the water is interesting, but I don't know. I don't feel as much risk. I don't feel as much tension as I have with other covers. And I feel like, and maybe I don't know, maybe this is me just applying and overthinking it too much, but I kind of feel like the water to me feels like it slows things down a little
Yeah.
bit, and so I don't feel like there's as much energy as on other covers. So I think a B is a good rating. So we're gonna go ahead and grab it. Still brilliant, still good, and yeah. So all right, and we are approaching the halfway point. I'm kind of impressed with how fast we're going here. All right, so we are looking at issue 30 of Amazing Spider-Man. What have we got here? We have so this is a mostly gray cover. It looks like there is battle going on a rooftop. Spider-Man is what is he doing here? He's flanked by searchlights from below, and it looks like someone is tipping a water tower on him, and he's like hanging off the wall like horizontally, and he's very small in this cover. I can't quite tell who the purple and green wearing opponent he's facing is. It just says the claws of the cat, so I'm guessing this is someone called the cat.
He was a cat burglar. He was kind of like a gentleman thief, kind of David Niven looking guy.
Okay, all right. Um, I don't know. What are we thinking of this cover? My initial impressions of it, I'm kind of meh on it actually.
Yeah, it's not my favorite either. It's kind of a cool, if small, Spidey figure.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I'm kind of wondering, like, is he in the middle of a flip or something? Why is it doesn't look like he's braced or anything, and so why would he just be hanging horizontally like that off the wall? Um, and I feel like yes, he's got a water tower that is looks like it's going to hit him, but I guess I feel like it could be a bit more dynamic. I don't feel like there's as much energy as there should be in a scene like this, I guess. I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Rating wise, what would you give it?
Uh, I don't know. Do you want to go down to a C?
For me, I'm thinking this might be the first C tier one. Yeah. So, it's just like I tend to go with my first impressions when I see a cover, and that was literally my first time seeing it, and I was just kind of like, "What is this?" You know. So, it's still memorable. Like I definitely will remember this. I just don't know if I'm going to remember it for the right reasons. So. All right, moving along, we have got number 31, which I think this is like a milestone issue here. This is If This Be My Destiny, which I know Spider-Man comics readers will probably be familiar with this phrase. Now, interesting cover. They've done something that I don't really think I've seen them do before, which we've got a red background, which has a white spider, like a white Spider-Man emblem in the middle of it. Spider-Man's face is in the middle of the body of the spider emblem, and then between the 8 legs, we've got 6 different scenes going on. And it looks like Spider-Man is fighting a bunch of minions, like from an organization like Hydra or AIM or something, but they're wearing these dark blue and blue suits, possibly like exosuits or something. There's a scene of him either saving an aircraft from a crash or trying to climb into it. I can't tell which. Spider-Man is in a net. He's underwater, and then more of these goons. This is an interesting one because it's showing a lot of different things, and I think because of that, it's confusing me a little bit. Steve, what do you think?
Some of the early Marvels, I'd like covers that they just sort of give you information overload.
Mm-hmm.
It's which is really intriguing, and yeah, it's kind of they're doing an artsy thing with the stylized spider cut out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty wild. I'd uh, I'd buy that if I saw it on the shelf.
I mean, it definitely. I'm definitely looking at it and going, "What is this?" But I'm doing it in a better way than I was with issue 30. You know, I'm still confused, and I'm like, "What is going on here? What? How does all of this tie together?" And so that would probably get me to buy it. Stylistically, though, I again, it feels like a bit of a jumble to me, and I kind of wish there was a bit more unity of purpose going on
Yeah.
in the illustration. I
They've been
guess.
they've been doing that pop art box for the past few issues. I guess they're trying to get artsy with this one.
Yeah.
But I do like those information overload covers, and this is one of them.
Okay. All right. What would you give this for a rating?
I think it's an A.
You think it's an A?
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely innovative.
Yeah, I definitely it's memorable, definitely. And probably if it were just me, oh God, I'm going between an A and a B. I'm probably more. Hold on, I'm going to compare it to, let's see, some of these other ones. Definitely better than that one. Definitely better than issue 30. Definitely better than its predecessor. I don't know. I'm comparing it to like the J. Jonah Jameson one and then the Green Goblin one, and I think I have to go with a B. For me, it's a little too confusing. It is pulling me in and it is making me want to read the issue, but I'm also just kind of like, what, So, um, but hey, this is why we have these discussions. So I appreciate I appreciate the reasons that you're giving for enjoying this. I think this may be one of those areas where we just might differ. So All right, next one up is issue number 32. Give me just a second to get that one up for us. And this one is okay. Wow. All right. This one is dynamic, I feel. It's got a caption on it that says "Man on a Rampage." We've got a mostly light blue background. Spider-Man is like, I don't know if he's kicking over buildings and just throwing. I mean, I guess he is. Maybe he's the man on a rampage. There's a tipped over car. People are running from him. And he is, I mean, he looks like he's on a tear. People just look like they are terrified of him. And then inset to this illustration, we've got a circular panel that has May in it, who looks like she is unconscious, and it says that she is gravely ill and fighting for her life. Interesting cover. Steve, what are you thinking?
Uh, yeah, it's wild. It's not often you get one that's just Spidey from the back.
Good point, actually. And that back spider, that design has definitely evolved over time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think rating wise?
Uh, I'm thinking B.
You thinking B?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I could go with this one. Again, it's pulling me in and making me want to go, what is going on here? The energy is frenetic as well. And so I'm definitely wondering what's going on here. I think like I like the inset of Aunt May, but I also don't know that it's necessary. I feel like this actually might be better served without it because it's easy to connect like, oh, okay, he's on a rampage because he needs to do something for Aunt May, maybe, you know? And so I feel like they might be able to do without that. So I think a B is a good rating here. So let's go ahead and put that in. All right. And let's see, we are actually at the halfway point. We have got five in amazing, five in brilliant. We've got one S tier iconic, and then we've got one C tier memorable. So we've got a much more advanced or a much more diverse uh, series of ratings than we had in the previous one, which I think was mostly S, A, and B. Because those early covers, let's face it, were really good.
And so much, building the world, all the new characters, so much going on, so
There
much new
is.
stuff.
Yeah, no, there is. Sith Apple in the chat says it's wedding season in Amazing Spider-Man number 31, or at least it is for Tombstone's daughter, who happens to be marrying one of Peter Parker's best buds. In an extra-sized milestone issue. That must be the current volume, because of course they relaunch and renumber, and oh my god, I wish they wouldn't do that, but that's just me being probably just me being old. So all right, we are going to move on to issue number 33. Okay, this one is a classic. So, it just says the final chapter. Spider-Man is trapped under some I don't know if this is machinery or wall paneling or what have you. There's water all around him. It's coming up. It looks like he may drown. And I think this is the home of that really iconic, I can do it, I can lift it up. But this is the cover for it, and it is setting the stage for that story very nicely. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, it's part of that iconic sequence of Spider-Man lifting a building off of himself. And see the water falling around his head. That kind of that's
Very illustrative of the Parker luck.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. The yeah, the Charlie Brown of superheroes.
I love it. And you're right. I think you're very right here. Okay. Again, this one for me is like an A or an S.
Yeah,
It's just it to me it's too well known not to be an S. That
yeah.
it's fairly
I'm
iconic.
definitely thinking S.
You
Yeah,
think an S? Again, this is like I mean this Spider-Man Homecoming in 20 really hard for me to get away from how that's just an iconic. move on. We are on to most of the white background building is at some angle. And then we've got Raven who looks like he's about to drop on who is clinging, and it looks like Raven is doing like a death from above kind of thing. We've got the in yellow circular blue.
I mean, there's some storytelling there. You get that Spider-Man reads is shocked. Like you said, it
Yeah,
looks like Craven got the jump on him, and uh, he's reacting. It's not a super dynamic. Well, you've got some energy with Craven's drop. Spidey doesn't look all that.
he looks like he's
Yeah.
caught flat-footed.
Yeah.
You know, um, which I know he which to be fair, because again he can't emote with his face. Um, but I kind of feel like the body language acting here could be a little bit better. It's just kind of and I feel like we could be like a wow, kind of I don't know, but it's I mean it's a Craven cover. Craven looks good, and I kind of wish we had a bit more detail in the background here. It feels like a very generic background, and that's kind of I don't know. I just feel like on comic book covers, like we should get a little bit more, and I kind of feel like we're missing a little bit of that here. Not a lot. I still love this cover, but there are places I think where it could be improved. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, what are we thinking for a rating here?
Uh, I don't know. Strong B.
Strong B? Yeah, I think I can go with a strong B. A strong B feels pretty good here. So let's go ahead, throw him in the B tier. And we're going to move on to issue, I believe this is 35. Let's have a look. Okay, so what we've got here, it looks like Molten Man is back. And this is a more colorful cover than the previous one. And it looks like I mean it looks like they're running at each other. We're gonna joust here. We got a white, is that like a spider light, I guess? That's kind of weird. And then we've got kind of a light and dark green background for the room that they're in. And then underneath it just says the Molten Man regrets. Steve, what do you think of this one?
I like the Spider-Man figure. I'm wondering. I'm trying to. Is that still Ditko, or is that Ramita kind of doing Ditko?
That's a good question.
That that
Um,
that yeah, that the Spider-Man figure doesn't reads more Ramita than Ditko to me.
Let me just see if we can have a look because it should be able to tell us that. Uh, Steve Ditko is still doing
Oh,
the
okay.
penciling here.
Oh,
It doesn't. It says that okay. It says that the art is still Steve Ditko. So we are still kind of looking at Ditko while he's
yeah,
still around.
that does look like a Ditko Molten Man, but Spidey looks different, I think.
Maybe Ditko was trying to do Ramita.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I don't know. The Spider-Man from behind, and it's from behind without the back spider too. Like that's a really interesting angle here. Um, I don't know. I feel like Molten Man, like if he's doing a running pose, I think his arms are out a little too wide here. But otherwise, like I mean, it pops off. The white spider light is a little weird to me. I'm just kind of going, what is going on with that? And if it is flashed onto Molten Man, why aren't we seeing any details of that either?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, overall, I mean, it's a decent cover. It's telling a story that is just kind of like I do need to see what happens here. So,
Yeah, I like the colors, the greens behind the red and blue Spidey suit.
yeah, it does help it stand out really well. So, all right, what are we thinking for a rating here?
Uh, A.
You thinking an A? I can go with an A. This is a decent cover and a fun one, I think, that tells a good story. So, all right. And on to Amazing Spider-Man 36. Right? 36? Yes, 36. Okay. What is going on here? Okay. We've got a white background. Spider-Man looks like he is I mean, it looks like he's on a rope swinging towards him. Like he's got a rope tied around his waist because he's coming at him very kind of horizontally. And then we've got like these weird little balls, spheres, pellets. They're green and it looks like they're bouncing around or something. And there's a guy in purple and white who is taking a swing at Spidey. And I don't know, like I'm confused as to what is going on here. The blurb says Spidey as you like him, in college, in trouble, in action, action, action. It sounds very Stan Lee. And then it says when falls the meteor. Is that the name of the person he's fighting?
Yeah, it was. I don't think I read this one, but I read an issue where they brought him back. They were calling him Meteor Man
Mm-hmm.
later on. He uh, he was exposed to some gas from a meteor that gave him super strength.
Okay.
Um, wasn't you know not one of the top rated in the rogues gallery, I guess, but
Oh,
they did
well,
bring him back later some.
yeah, clearly he doesn't seem to really have stood the test of time, but what do we think of the cover just in general? This feels very jumbled and a little bit messy to me. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, I guess Spidey's supposed to be leaping or something.
Yeah,
It's it,
it. I don't know.
and
It.
yeah, I don't remember him having like meteor gimmicks or whatever. So I'm not sure about the astronomy symbolism there.
Right. Yeah. It's like I'm not sure what to think of all this. What are we thinking in terms of a rating?
I guess a B.
All right. Yeah, I'm thinking either a B or a C. I could upgrade this to a B. I think a B is not bad here. I definitely think this is better than issue 30's cover. So, all right, let's go ahead and put it on there. Let's see. And again, into the B tier with you. All right, we have got 8 more issues left. So let's continue on to issue 37. Okay. Give me just a moment. I appear to have lost my place because I'm really good at that. I think it's this one. And I want to see. There we go. There's the artwork. Okay. Ooh, okay. All right. So, number 37, Once Upon a Time, There Was a Robot. That's the caption. It looks like we've got some kind of cyborg looking person on, like he's in the middle of the caption, and then we've got two different scenes underneath that caption that are split down the middle. The first looks like Spider-Man is, it looks like he's fighting a giant multi-limbed, like more than five-armed jellyfish from behind. It looks like and they're both awash in flame. And then there's another story where it looks like Spider-Man is taking on a robot that's firing something from its head. Interesting perspective here. Steve, what do you think of this?
That's a really dynamic Spidey on the right. Uh, really got some energy there,
Yeah,
kicking a robot.
yeah, true. What about the scene on the left?
That's trippy. I
I'm
don't know what that is. Is it an alien or something?
yeah, I don't know. And it's just like, oh God, they're both in the middle of a fire. You'd almost think this was like a Venom symbiote if it weren't that early, you know. Um, the guy in the middle, the like he is very intriguing to me. Like, is he masterminding both of these tales? What is going on here? Who is it? I think I know who that is. Is that Robot Master? Is that Mendel Strom?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, because if it is, dude looks freaky. Dude looks very freaky. He looks like an unfinished Deathlock. Maybe slightly less messy, but
Definitely supervillain.
yeah. So, all right. I don't know. I like this cover. What do you think?
Uh, I like it. Yeah, it's not one of my absolute favorites, but it's cool. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What would you say for a rating?
I think it's only a B for me.
You think it's a B? I kind of like it enough to give it an A. I think I like the split scening here. I think it kind of, especially with him in the middle, it's telling me that this guy potentially is giving it he's responsible for both of those tales, and maybe he isn't, but the cover is selling that to me. So maybe I'll open the issue and I'll be disappointed, but at least on a first go, I think that this one gets an A from me. So all right, I think this is what, number 38, right? Let's move it along, and of course I have messed things up, so give me just a second to correct it. Let's see. I think, hold on, going back. Yeah, we can do that. That's good enough for me. Is it going to? Okay, all right. We seem to have it back on track. Okay, number 38. We've got a white background. We've got a picture of Spider-Man who looks like he's throwing a punch. And then underneath it, we've got 3 different panels of Spider-Man that say thrills, spills, and chills in their various action poses. We got a couple of captions and blurbs on here. Just a guy named Joe is one of them. Here's Spidey at his fighting best. More Stan Lee-isms here. Just wait till you see the offbeat supervillain starring in this ish. He's the prize pussycat of the year. Okay. Steve, what do you think here?
It's great. I love that that main Spidey figure, and then you've got all those action all the action in the boxes. Some really high energy.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I mean, I think the main figure at the top is really cool. I'm wondering where the just a guy named Joe quote is coming for. And so that also kind of pulls me in. Again, the white background in the back is it's a little bit off-putting to me, but it looks like the energy went into the 3 panels below, and so I'm kind of okay with it. So, what do we think about this one in terms of a rating? What do you think?
I think it's definitely an A.
You think it's an A? Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I like the energy. I I think that if they had put more effort into the above background, I actually might be able to go S tier with this. But I think an A is a perfectly good rating for that one as well. So let's go ahead and stick it there. And now we are on to this cover is very famous. This cover is the cover image for this tier maker list. If you decide to go and do your own version of this list, I chose Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 39 for that cover because it is a very famous Green Goblin and not Spider-Man, Spider-Man Unmasked cover. And if I had seen this on the newsstand, nothing would have stopped me from getting this issue. I would have been like, Mom, I need this issue and I need it now. Because Peter is just like, he is in the biggest of no-win situations. He is tied up. The goblin is holding the rope. He is on his, he's on his glider. It looks like he's got him just by the throat, metaphorically at least. And it's just kind of like it's a classic Spider-Man Green Goblin confrontation cover. Steve, thoughts?
Can you look up the credits on that? 'Cause are we into Ramita now? That looks like Ramita.
Let's see. Actually, according to Sith Apple in the chat, Steve Ditko did the final art for Spider-Man number 38. So let's go ahead and click on this one and see. Credits are John Romita Sr.
Yeah.
This, it looks like John Romita Sr.'s first cover, and possibly his first issue that he penciled as well.
Yeah,
So,
that
so,
adds up. Um,
but what do we think here?
it's great, very, very dynamic, scary goblin. Uh,
I mean, just because of the situation too, you know, like the goblin himself just looks like he's having a grand old time, which is also kind of terrifying. So,
it's interesting to, uh, you know, uh, just contrast Romita Goblin with a Ditko Goblin.
yeah,
Uh,
a lot of people have said that John Romita, like, I mean, he wrote Spider-Man, he wrote Peter Parker to look like a heartthrob from a romance comic, and definitely kind of a less sharp, kind of angular features, and that probably applies to all of the
he's
characterizations.
definitely
So,
more polished than Ditko,
yeah.
and sales went up after Romita took over.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
People like beautiful people.
Yeah.
They do. Um, what are we thinking in terms of a rating here?
Uh, is that an S?
Um,
It's pretty iconic.
this is pretty iconic, and again, if I'd seen this issue, I mean, to say nothing of the color variation on this cover, just the situation alone. I probably would have noticed the situation before I would have noticed the change in art style. But now that I'm looking back on everything, I'm like, yeah, this looks very distinct, and I like it. So yeah, no, for me, definitely an S. And uh, you agree?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. That again, that cover very famous. Ooh, okay. This cover, while probably not quite as famous, is still pretty iconic. Take a look at this. It says Spidey saves the day. There is fire all around the two of them. He's towering over the Green Goblin, who looks like he's trying to get up from getting, knocked out for the count. It says the end of the Green Goblin. And I'm guessing this is the one where Norman Osborn gets amnesia.
Yeah.
If I had to make a guess, I think it's this one. So, what do we think of this one, Steve?
Pretty cool. That's a very heroic Spidey pose there.
Yeah, no, the hero towering over the villain. Clearly, there has just been an epic fight between the two because there's just destruction and fire all around them. It's one of those we're telling a story that I want the details of. So Amazing Spider-Man number 40. I don't know. What are we thinking for a rating here?
A, or do you want to go up to S?
I really could go either way here. I really feel like, again, this one's telling a story, but when I compare it to 39, 39 is just more compelling for me. Like, I need to know what
A lot
happened.
more energy there.
Yeah, this one is great and heroic, and I love it. I I could go either way, but I don't see any shame in giving it an A tier rating either.
That works for me.
You're good with an A tier? Let's go ahead and make that happen. All right. So, now last time I stopped at 20, but since we've already started the John Romita era, I figured going to 42 would be a rather special place to stop. But let's have a look at number 41. Look who we got here. We got the Rhino. Now, is this the Rhino's first appearance? I'm gonna guess that it is.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Okay. All right. So the Rhino is just like punching through a wall. Spider-Man looks like maybe he's behind him and trying to stop him. Otherwise, we got a white background, and I mean the Rhino looks very powerful. He looks like, I'm just gonna say it. He looks like Juggernaut light. Which is fine. Juggernaut is very powerful. I don't know. What do you think of this cover, Steve?
Yeah, it's really got a lot of power. the Rhino looks like he's
I mean, it looks like he's already run Spider-Man over,
well, it
basically.
looks like he's going to knock out the reader.
Yeah, he does. He does. So, definitely a fun cover here. What are we thinking in terms of rating here?
uh, I don't know, A.
Yeah, I could go with an A on this one. I think this is a strong cover for a physically strong Spider-Man foe, especially for his first appearance. So, all right, and then finally, we're going to move on to the final issue of the Amazing Spider-Man proper for this tier list rating. We're going to stop with number 42. And okay, it just says the birth of a superhero. Spider-Man is getting punched out by some guy. Is that John Jameson? Is
Yeah.
that is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I had to really guess at that.
Yeah, I read that one.
Okay. It's got a blue background. It looks like they're on a rooftop, and it looks like they are, or maybe they're not. Maybe that's shadow behind them. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Could you, if you've read this one, then can you tell me more about this cover and possibly this issue?
Yeah, John Jameson was an astronaut, and I think uh, he was exposed to something on a space mission and gave him super strength that he had trouble controlling. So they, you see the metal elements on his suit or to kind of restrain him, allow him to maintain control.
Gotcha. Okay.
And of course, his dad sicks him on Spider-Man, of course.
Of course he does. Why wouldn't he?
Yes.
So, no, I mean, I like the character of John Jameson. It really took me a while. Like, I've seen this cover before, and I think I only just figured it out. I'm like, is that John Jameson?
Yeah.
My other guess was going to be, is this another version of Molten Man or something? But
No, it's John before he became a werewolf.
okay,
I mean,
all right,
super strength, and then later on gets to be a werewolf. So,
gotcha. Okay,
as will happen
yeah.
in the Marvel universe.
All right. So, so what do you think of this cover?
Uh, I like it. It's not my absolute most favorite. They're showing Spidey in peril, but he looks kind of awkward.
He looks like he's doing a weird dance.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like he could be in the Thriller video doing a dance there. Okay, what do we think of the Jameson figure there?
Uh, that's pretty dynamic, and it's a pretty cool design. Although I don't think they used that
I mean, it looks
that
like,
version of Jameson much.
no. It looks like they're setting him up to be like, yes, I'm going to be a superhero, you know, and they're giving him kind of the classic like superhero kind of posing for a fight here. It's not bad. It's also I think like you said, it's also not the most smooth cover here. It does feel a bit awkward and a bit clogged. But you know, it's not bad either. I mean, it's a fair sight better than I'm ever going to be able to do. What are we thinking about it in terms of a rating?
You want to go B?
Yeah, I think I could go B with this one. It's definitely again that issue 30 of Amazing. I'm probably just like it. You know that one was hard to swallow, but this one is definitely better than that. So. And this issue also marks the first full appearance of Mary Jane Watson, which that I think it's that famous panel, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot" kind of thing.
Right, and
So, you know,
Ramita, the ex-romance comic artist, sold that in a way that Ditko couldn't.
yeah, no, I can definitely agree with you there. All right, moving on. We're gonna do two of the annuals here. We did annual number one back in the previous episode, where the previous tier list episode of Spider-Man covers. Now we're gonna do number two, and this one is it features Rhino. It's on the ground. The white sky background and some buildings and then some crowds. So it looks like Spider-Man is in a street fight with the Rhino in a crowded area. The police are trying to keep order, and it just says Rhino on the rampage. Interesting cover. Steve, what are your thoughts on it?
It's interesting. He's grabbed him by the horn and is
Yeah.
just being pulled along. Uh,
And he knows if he lets go, he's
kind of
so
an awkward Spider-Man figure too.
yeah. But I imagine it would be
I don't know, the pigeon toe thing kind of.
oh yeah, I hadn't caught that yet. Wow. Yeah, no, that is interesting in a not necessarily good way here. Rhino looks decent. He again looks like I feel like they could have made Rhino bigger, and I think they do in later issues. But at least right here, he looks like he's maybe the same size as Spider-Man. It's just that he's like squat, in terms of his body type here. Um, but yeah, and now that you point out the pigeon toe thing, I can't unsee that. Like, wow, that doesn't exactly look great. So, all right, what do we think in terms of a rating here?
Yeah, it's kind of odd perspective too. Doesn't really quite work for me.
Okay,
Say B or even
even possibly a C.
yeah.
Who is the artist here? Is this another Ramita
It's got to
cover?
be Ramita.
Let's have a look. Let's see, where is it? Oh, hold on. I got the right one. No, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. We're doing Amazing Spider-Man 43. I have to go find the annuals. Sorry, we just did but I'm also kind of impressed that they did Rhino in 41 and then in 43. I'll probably just excise that from the podcast, but let's go find the annuals here. So, let's see. Give me just a moment. Sorry. I was just so used to moving along that we kind of went in a direction that I did not intend for us to go. So my apologies for that. Let's see. That's annual number 1. Can we get it? No, that's more annual number 1 artwork. So let's go ahead. There's annual 1. That's annual 2. What is this? Oh, okay. Of course they renumbered the annuals as well. So okay, these are the two images that we are looking for. All right, so annual number the Amazing Spider-Man annual number 2. So yellow background, yellow blank background here. Kind of weird here because we got a full-size Spidey, we've got Spidey's head, and then we've got several smaller Spideys kind of like climbing around it or hanging off of it, doing other things. And it says 3 of Spidey's earliest, greatest, most requested full-length epics. It's an interesting cover, and trippy in terms of it's appropriate that Doctor Strange is getting mentioned here. But I'm also just kind of weirded out by it. What do you think?
That the full figure Spider-Man there is really iconic. I think they may have used, if not that, then something real similar in the corner box for a while
I could,
later on.
yeah, I could totally see that.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I like that. It's a great, just a great Spider-Man figure.
No, I definitely don't disagree with you on that point. What about the rest of it?
Yeah, it is a little trippy with all the little Spider-Men running around. But
On a Spider-Man head,
yes,
you know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like disgusted by it or anything. I'm just kind of like this is different. And I'm not gonna lie, it does make me want to buy the issue. So, what do we think about it in terms of a rating here?
I'd give it an A just on the strength of that Spider-Man figure. I really like that.
That's fair, and the weird is not necessarily bad either. So I'll go ahead and we can go ahead and throw that in the A column as well. So, all right, and then for our final rating of today, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 3. Now, the reason I went up to Amazing Spider-Man 42 and Annual number 3 is because they are both November of, I think, 1960. They were in the same month basically. It was probably 1963 four or five. I don't know by this point. But anyways, we've got Spider-Man, white background, and it looks like the Avengers are just trying to they're trying to hold him down. Looks like even the Hulk may be having a bit of a difficult time, but it's like Spidey against like six other Avengers. I see Hawkeye, Cap, Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, and Giant Man, Goliath. I don't know what we're calling him yet. But but yeah, this is an interesting one. We've also got two panels below, and I can't quite tell what's going on. I see Doc Ock in one of them, and then is that Spidey versus Metal Arms in the other one? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I believe so.
So
Okay, can you check the credits on that?
yeah, let's go ahead and have a look. Let's see. Amazing Spider-Man Annual Volume 1. Oh, goodness, my apologies. I can probably get it by just going here. There we go. All right, art is by John Romita and Steve Ditko. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's yeah, I couldn't really.
Couldn't parse which one was which.
Yeah, and that cap kind of looks like Kirby to me. The extreme foreshortening with the you know the the hand and
Okay, yeah.
the feet in different time zones.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do the speed effect like they've done with Iron Man there too. That's different. Like
Yeah,
the speed blur lower body thing. That's unusual.
yeah, and I don't know. It's almost kind of one of those things. I almost wish it had been coming from a different direction. You know?
Yeah. Well, this is one of those information overload covers
Oh
that
yeah.
I like.
Oh yeah.
They tended to do
Definitely.
that, I think, more in the annuals too.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you. What are we thinking about it in terms of a rating overall?
Uh,
I mean, it does have a lot going on, and I'm pulled in by that upper image. The lower one's less so until I notice Doc Ock, and then I'm like, oh, hey, Doc Ock. I will definitely want to read a Doc Ock story. So,
I'd say an A.
okay. I can go with an A on this one. This like and again, I think it's on the strength of the upper image mostly, but that one really sells it for me. So there we go. Okay, so that is Avengers Annual. That is the Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 3, and that goes into the A tier.
Oh,
That's all right. That's all right.
I'm back.
I do that all the time. Coasters are just yeah. I almost kind of want to glue them down sometimes, but that presents its own problems. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the list for us. We're gonna go ahead and do just a quick recap. So in the S tier, we have let's see, Amazing Spider-Man 39, 33, and then I can't remember the number on the Molten Man one, so I'm just going to go back a bit. And that looks like number 28. So so number 28, 33, and 39 are hiding out in the S tier as the iconic covers. We had a dozen of these in the amazing tier, and that would be issue number 21. Hold on, I'm gonna go back and make sure we're getting all of these correct. So let's see, 21, 23, 25, so the odd numbers so far, 26, 27, 30. Wow, okay, we got all the way to 35, 37, 38, 30, or 40, 41, and then annuals 2 and 3. The B tiers, we had number, I believe, 22. I'm clicking furiously to get back to it. So yeah, that's number 22. Let's see. Then is that the no the is that the Crime Master? No, that's not the Crime Master one. Where's the holograms one? That's the one I'm looking at. There we go. So 22, 24, 29, 31, 32, 34, 36, and let's see. Oh, right. Number 42, the one of the early John Romitas. And then down in the C tier, while memorable, not the greatest visual experience, that would be Amazing Spider-Man number 30. So overall, I mean, this is what we're getting into year what? We're in years like 2 and 3 of the Amazing Spider-Man at this point. And so it's we're starting to switch artists. We're still trying to add to the mythology here, so there's a lot going on. Uh, a lot of it good, some of it not as good as the rest, but it's doing okay. So I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts on this kind of repertoire of comic covers here, Steve?
Uh, Not really. We really see the end of an era with Ditko leaving and Ramita taking over. So that's interesting.
It is, and we're gonna get a lot more kind of iconic art as we move into the next tier list at some point. But yeah, overall, this is just reflective of the changes that are happening at the Amazing Spider-Man, and again, um, I think our previous tier list was a lot more top heavy. But again, we only had one C tier, so things are still pretty good over here. All right, and I'm going to take a second. I am going to take a second because it looks like one of the other cats is in here and would like to be let out. Nermal is in here, so she looks like she wants me to open the door for her. So I'm going to do that really quickly. Hold on. Oh, that is what I get for leaving my door open. Okay. All right. And that closes out part 2 of our comics tier, or comic covers. I'm going to do that whole sentence again. And that and that closes out part 2 of our comics covers tier listing. Thanks to our live stream audience for their input and participation. Remember to save and send your tier list to my Discord server to the Webline tier list channel. Discord invite is on my YouTube channel banner, show notes, and live stream description, and may have appeared during the show's live stream. Thanks again to Steve Moore for coming in today to sit with me and do another in-house collaboration on the web line. Steve, do you have any final thoughts as we move away from this segment of the podcast?
No, not really. I think we covered it.
Okay, all right. Do you have any projects that you'd like to plug, or want to tell people where you can be found online or anything?
No, I'm not up to anything.
That's fair. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for listening. And now let's move on to the web spinners recommendations. All right. So for this week's web spinners recommendation, I have recently been playing a new video game called The Last Faith. I believe it dropped on November 15th. And do you like Metroidvanias? Do you like the side-scrolling Metroidvanias? Do you like the Souls-like kind of dark and, I would say somewhat difficult combat? Then you may want to check out The Last Faith. I would say that it's probably a contemporary of, excuse me,
Excuse me.
it's all right. You okay?
Mhm.
Okay. It's probably a contemporary of Blasphemous, which arguably does it better, but I'm only a couple hours into the gameplay. I really enjoy it. It feels like Castlevania and Dark Souls had a 2D Metroidvania baby, and then selected Bloodborne as its creepy, kooky godparent. It's a lot of fun, and one of the things that I really like about it is how just kind of dark and foreboding it is, which I don't generally expect from a Metroidvania style video game. If you like creepy content, if you like kind of dark, foreboding stuff, but you also like the kind of semi platforming Metroidvania feel of things, then you may want to check out The Last Faith. It's a fairly new iteration of the genre. It doesn't do anything terribly new or innovative, but it is fun to play, and I think what it does well. All right, Steve, do you have any media recommendations this week for my listeners to read, watch, play, or listen to?
I just finished reading The Starter Villain by John Scalzi, which was quite a bit of fun.
Oh, yeah?
It's a book about a guy who inherits a supervillain organization from his uncle that he has not seen in decades.
What? And so he's not a supervillain
No.
himself. So does he have to learn how to be a supervillain?
Basically, and
Okay.
there's some twists and surprises, but Scalzi's really good at world building. He sort of thinks out how you could be a supervillain in the real world and incorporate some of the cliches and has explanations for them. There's a volcano lair.
Okay. All right. Okay. It feels like he may have taken a dash of like what is it? The uh oh god, the sing along blog. Not Doctor. It's not Doctor Evil. That's an Austin Powers guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
I can't
The
either.
Joss Whedon thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I'm people are probably going to drag me for not remembering, but anyways, but that and then like maybe just like a tiny little touch of Breaking Bad a bit, and kind of is like I'm going to go ahead and tell a story for this. It sounds entertaining. It sounds entertaining. You enjoyed it then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Well, thank you for making the recommendation, and I believe that brings us close to the end of the show. If you enjoyed this episode of The Webline, please be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on my YouTube channel, simply named Spidey Librarian, where I also maintain a playlist of all podcast episodes. The Webline is also available on audio services, so when you see us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or any other such service, please leave a review, rating, and where possible, follow us as well. You can find me on my socials under the name Spidey Librarian on Threads, Twixter, as I'm calling it, Instagram, Facebook, WordPress, and Twitch. And finally, if you'd like to shoot me an email, you can contact me at spideylibrarian@gmail.com, where I'll be happy to hear your thoughts, opinions, and rants. You never know. Your email might be featured in an upcoming episode. Next Sunday, November 26th, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, will feature a character spotlight on one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. Aaron Garcia will join me as we discuss the arrogant, the notorious, the brilliant Otto Octavius. How do we feel about Dr. Octopus? And is his placement as one of Spidey's greatest villains really man, I'm going to try that sentence again. How do we feel about Dr. Octopus? And is his placement as one of Spidey's greatest villains really as deserved as people seem to think? You'll have to join us next week on Sunday, November 26th to find out. Thanks again to Steve Moore for coming back and continuing this tier list sub-series with me. And thank you for listening. Until the next episode, I'll be wishing you a good day. Bye.